Welcome to Channel 18 News. I'm Jim Rogers. 63 indictments were the result of the meeting of the Hopkins County Grand Jury Thursday. Among those who have been arrested and indicted, Casey Gween Miles was indicted for 7 counts of sexual assault of a child. David Allen Calhoun was indicted for 1 count of aggravated assault. Date family house with deadly weapon. Lane Wesley Keller was indicted for 1 count of theft of cattle. He was also indicted on 1 count of unauthorized use of a vehicle. Landon D. Harness was indicted for 1 count of theft of cattle as well. For all the list of indictments, you may see those on KSSTradio.com. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick has announced the appointment of Senator Bob Hall to the Texas Sunset Committee. The Sunset Advisory Committee was established by the Texas legislature in 1977 and is made up of 12 members, including 5 state senators, 5 state representatives, and 2 public members. The Sunset Commission is charged with providing a comprehensive periodic review of the operation of more than 130 state agencies, with each agency typically subject to sunset review every 12 years. Among the agencies scheduled for review in the 2018-2019 cycle, the Health and Human Services Commission, the Alcoholic Beverage Commission, the Department of Public Safety, the Department of Motor Vehicles, the Windstorm Insurance Association, the Texas Military Department, the Texas Medical Board, the Texas Historical Commission, the Texas Finance Commission, the Real Estate Commission, the Appraisal, Licensing, and Certification Commission, and the Red River Authority.
Sulphur Springs Public Library and Sulphur Springs retired school personnel together are bringing Revis Wortham, who is an author, to a meet and greet at the public library on Tuesday, November 14th, and you're invited.
Well, one of my volunteer activities now is with Sulphur Springs area retired school personnel, and we are really trying to be an active chapter of the Texas Retired Teachers Association, and so we have monthly programs, and we wanted to continue to promote literacy even though we've retired, so we work to help invite an author in.
Okay. The author is Revis Wortham, is that right, Hope?
That is correct.
Please tell us a bit about this man and your event.
Okay. He grew up near in the Red River area, Red River County, and that setting is the inspiration for the Red River Mystery series of 6 books.
Okay.
So it's kind of a mystery, modern detective type books.
Set in the outdoors? I think it's set in the outdoors.
Yeah, in the Red River County area, Paris, Lamar, that kind of thing. So you'll recognize a lot of the places that he talks about in the books, the settings, and so we thought that was really neat. Just that it's local. And,
lots of regional flavor. Both in the dialogue and the setting, but these are set like they start back in the 1960s.
Yes,
through the eyes of a 10-year-old. The first book that I'm reading.
Okay.
So the series is called
Red River Mystery.
Oh, that just sounds so intriguing.
It
I
is.
love to come to the library. I love the library.
Thank you.
She's done a great job.
She has. Well, so the first book, The Rock Hole, is that what you were just referring to?
Yes.
Is it a true story?
No, it's historical mystery, I think we decided to call it, because so much of it, the setting is true, and so much of the character development is true. It's a constable back in the 1960s who's the grandfather to this young boy who comes out to live with his grandparents in the little town is actually based on Chakotah, which is right up by the Red River, but he calls it Center Springs, but it's recognizable, and so it's through the eyes of a young boy who comes from the city to now live with his grandparents, and he's so intrigued by what his grandfather does as a cotton farmer, but mainly as a constable.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating. Well, so of course the area that we're discussing is real. If you were going on, is it 275 north out of Paris towards Oklahoma? And you're about to cross the big old Red River Bridge. Just before that, you'll see a sign pointing to the left or westerly, Ch.18. And that's the last stop in the edge of Texas, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. So the area is real. And so Revis Wortham has written this series, and he is coming to our library.
Yes.
When is that?
That's Tuesday, November 14th at 10:30 at the public library. We'll have coffee and snacks. So welcome everybody, the whole community, to come in and see him, ask questions. He'll have his books for sale and autographed by him, and I'm really looking forward to it. He's a real personal fella, so looking forward.
Yes, he's interesting to talk to so far on the phone, but he definitely is, and he appeals to men as well as women. This is definitely should not be seen as like a women's event, because I think his books and his personality will appeal to men. Even especially. So,
or even if you couldn't get your husband to come, maybe a good Christmas present.
Yes.
Autographed copies.
Sure.
Yeah.
A good idea.
Yeah.
And if you are retired school personnel, we welcome you, whether or not you're a member of our chapter or just retired school personnel in the area. We are going to have a brief gathering of our people at 10 in the same spot before the author starts at 10:30. Yes.
And there's some members of a book club, local book club, I think, that kind of said, hey, would you like to go? I'm going too. And so we may have a bit, of that club.
How exciting. Yeah. So representing.
Yes, we tried to get the word out to book clubs.
So people are paying attention to what's going on at the library. There's a writing here, just a bit that Mr. Wortham has written himself. He says, when I was 8 years old, I remember an aunt asking me what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I said, an author. She laughed and she said, sure, it would happen. Or she was sure that it would happen. But it did take a few years, but I finally made it. Revis Z. Wortham. So the meet and greet the author is coming up at the library next Tuesday, just days away. And do you think he has won special awards or notices for his work?
Marilyn?
Oh, yes, he has won several awards. His first book, The Rock Hole, won Kirkus Review's Top 12 Mysteries of 2011 when it came out. And True West magazine included Dark Places as one of 2015's top 12 modern westerns. So, he has been recognized that it is good writing, and it's real relatable writing.
Okay. Wonderful. There's on the flyer is a picture of another of his books called Hawk's Prey. And then The Rock Hole, which is the first in that series that I want to get a hold of.
Right. Well, The Hawk's Prey is his new series. So this is the first in a series. I don't know how long it'll be. It's about Sonny Hawk, and he's a seasoned Texas Ranger. And you always love those. That one's set over in West Texas. So I'm real excited to see how he takes this character and really builds on it, just like he did in the other series. He took the Constable Ned Parker and really built on him in the first series. So really excited. That one's called Hawk's Prey, and he'll have that one with him also.
Okay, sounds fun, and I hope to be there too.
Yeah.
You mentioned this being a book for men. When I go to the library, I actually see a lot of men. I mean, not a lot of men, but I see a cross section, not just of women or children, because the kids love the library, all ages.
They do. Teens
and moms with kids are in and out. But there's guys sitting reading. Guys like to read too.
Absolutely. And we have some great information, whether it be history, of course, is very popular. But you've also got Clive Cussler, which is very action-oriented. A lot of men like the very popular stuff. John Grisham and Peterson, and they may not want the romance, but there's definitely plenty of other stuff for men.
Sure. Well, I think, Marilyn, correct me if I'm wrong. Early in life, when we're early in our school years, do you think it's that at that time that we become a reader for pleasure or a reader for just because we have to learn or study or apply?
Well, I think some people are just intrinsically interested in the reading and become readers at an early age and always are. And then I think there are other students that kind of discover it, through a good library program and talking about books and authors and getting into the story. Story goes way back. I mean, story is as old as time. That's what we relate to.
So I heard that in a song.
Yeah, yes. And so it can be any time. Like right now, I finally have more time to read again upon retiring. And so I'm rediscovering how much I love it. And I wanted to say that Mr. Wortham also writes a column for Country World. Okay. And so a lot of people may recognize, even if they have not read his books, which would be a nice discovery, they may already know some of his writing because Country World has a pretty wide circulation.
Okay.
Sure does. I'd forgotten about that.
It's so true. Well, when I come to the library, of course, I head to the large print section because I can see with my glasses, but it makes reading easier and just more pleasurable when the print is large. So that's where I primarily stay. But there's another stand over here, staff picks. Mm-hmm. That's always got interesting things on it.
Library staff, I and the staff, we probably spend more time out in the nonfiction section than anybody. It's a big section, and it's admittedly hard to just browse as opposed to the fiction section. And since we spend so much time out there, we're just by putting books back on the shelf, we find these treasures. So we're like, wow, this is not a new book, but it was such a neat book. It's got such good information. So I asked the staff to go ahead and pull it and put it out there. And then we keep circulating, maybe not the brand new stuff, but stuff that really has a high interest, that we think would have a high interest. So we're just choosing stuff for you so you don't have to browse the whole nonfiction section.
Okay. All right. I like it.
We'll switch over in the holiday time, and that will be our Christmas books section. So we'll put all the nonfiction back, and we'll pull out all the holiday reads for that pretty soon. So.
Oh, and I have some favorites in there too.
Love the Christmas.
There's another stand that is new releases or new on the shelf.
New arrivals. Okay, That's right. Well, of course, that's new stuff. Anything we get new, we put on there for about 3 months, and we rotate it as it comes in. We put it right back out, right there on the shelf, so you can just go there and see what we've gotten in. Just very recently. We also have a reserve list. If something came out and it's not here, it's been checked out, you can either go online and sign on your library card account and reserve it, or ask at the front desk, and we'll put your name next in the list when it comes in. We won't even put it on the shelf. We'll call you. Okay. We'll hold it at the front desk for you. So
lots of services the library offers. Marilyn, I just want to ask you a question. In fact, I'll ask you both if we have time. How did you fall in love with reading? Do you remember something from way back that
my goodness, I'm sure that it was my mother who read to us and sang to us and just gave us the love of story. Like I remember, she's even clearing out old things from the house now, and she'll send well-worn children's books that I remember. Yes. I remember from and we were 5 children, and so they were well worn, but it was because books were always in front of us. And I remember at different stages, like because of my age, I got into Nancy Drew, and of course I wanted to read every Nancy Drew, and I would go over to the Five and Dime store and where they had the series, and I would save up my money to get the next Nancy Drew. And so and that's definitely from an older era, but that sort of intrigue or getting to know the characters. Mm-hmm. And feeling part of the story was definitely encouraged in my family. And I wanted to say another service that I love that I'm enjoying now is the audiobooks, which the library has. And I believe they have Mr. Wortham's audiobooks as well.
We do.
And late at night when I'm kind of finished for the day, I'm turning on the Rock Hole, the first one, and listening to it because the reader is doing it in local dialect. And so that's just wonderful because it just takes you right back. It's also nostalgic to me because he's on the farm. My grandfather had a farm, and he's, all the going hunting, seeing the cotton gin, all these sorts of things just take me right back, especially because it's in the local dialect.
That's great.
That's nice.
Great to know. I
Very
love
nice.
the audiobooks there too. I do. And music. There's all kinds of music.
We do. We have music too. Yeah.
Well, Hope, we just have about a minute, but I want to ask you, how do you think reading got triggered for you?
Well, probably just like Marilyn. I mean, my family put a high importance on it. My grandmother was an English teacher and wrote poetry, won awards, had an article in the newspaper every week. She wrote. She was, just like that. She read to us. That was just part of our life. And then my dad, as he grew up, when he grew up, not with me, but he purchased the newspaper where we lived in our small town in Arkansas. And so, again, words, stories, he read to me a lot. I have a picture on my desk in my office of him reading to me and my younger sister in our jammies. So, it's just part of my life.
Well, come to the library on Tuesday, November 4th, 10:30, is that right? To meet
14th.
Okay, November 14th. Meet and greet the author, Revis Wortham, who will be at our library.
Yes, please come by.
Okay, thank you. We will be there. Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you.
Here's Don Julian with sports.
In sports, Hallsville, who the Wildcats play in district football Friday night, have a first-year Bobcats head football coach in Joe Drennan. Coach Drennan came from Mineola, where he coached for 9 years, winning a state championship last year. He was a state runner-up 2 years before. Coach Drennan replaced longtime Hallsville coach David Plunk. Hallsville this year is 1-8, and for the season 1-4 in district play, and they are out of the playoff picture. The Wildcats need a win to clinch a playoff berth. A loss Friday could knock the Wildcats out of playoff contention. Hallsville played Texas High tough last week, and Coach Drennan says his team has a way to go to learn how to finish a game and compete. He did say, though, that he was proud of his team against Texas High. Coach Drennan says the Bobcats have been competitive in every game this year except for the game against Marshall. He says Hallsville will recognize 23 seniors Friday night along with cheerleaders. He says a win in the last game of the season will help during the off-season. Wildcats basketball coach Clark Cipolletta feels his team may have learned a valuable lesson at a good time on Tuesday. He says his team came out with a lack of focus and energy in a scrimmage at Mesquite Poteet Tuesday evening. Despite that, the Wildcats were ahead most of the game. Coach Cipolletta said a lack of urgency down the stretch cost his team a victory. The Wildcats were outscored 21-2 in the fourth quarter, and 2 Mesquite Poteet free throws right before the buzzer gave the Pirates the win. Coach Cipolletta is glad that the lesson was learned during a scrimmage rather than a regular season or district game. He feels his team did get the message because their practice the next day was their best of the season. Coach Cipolletta believes his team will be ready to play Saturday in their season opener at the Cowtown Showdown in North Crowley at 12:30 p.m. They better be. Their opponent is Arlington Bowie, a Class 6A team that is state-ranked in the top 25. Coach Cipolletta says they have 2 really good players. He says Bowie seems to go deep into the playoffs every year, and he expects them to be highly competitive. Coach Cipolletta says his main focus, though, is on the Wildcats and getting them better. I also have some information on how the start of the regular season will be delayed 1 day for the Lady Cats basketball team. There's also a change to the Saturday game for the Lady Cats, and I learned all of that when I talked to Coach Jeff Chapman, Lady Cats basketball coach, on Wednesday afternoon.
So no game Friday, but we played Reigns on Saturday. And we'll go there because of football on Friday and try to get people to, the staff to do clock and book. And so we're going to do it there. But last year we had 3 practices and went and played Winsboro. This time I haven't numbered a practice that Kaylee and Autumn had, the girls that came from volleyball, that have been with us, but it's more than 3.
Yeah. Was the game pretty much canceled just because of the football activity for probably, I don't know if Winsboro is still playing or
they said they didn't have us down, which we talked about in the spring, and we did, and they're going to go to a scrimmage that's multi-teams that's going to be there. So they're going to get more out of that.
Well, you'll have 3 teams that'll be playing. Are you doing freshman JV, or you got them like colors?
Colors. We're doing varsity blue and gold.
Junior varsity blue and gold, or?
The JV1 and JV2, kind of like that theory. And we're going from there. Blue's probably if I have to say better team, yeah. Gold is under them, but we just have so many players, well, quite a few. I said 2 or 3 players that as freshmen, it would be wrong to put them down and not reward them for being, here in the summer and working out and being better than some of the young, the kids that have been here. Yeah. I mean, you stay competitive when you do that. But if you make them wait by class, then the middle kids don't have any incentive to work hard, and they just kind of drag around.
Will the times be the same on Saturday that are on your schedule?
10, starting at 10.
10 o'clock, okay. And varsity probably about 12:30 or something like that?
Something like that, yeah, depending on how long each of their game. First game's going to be 6-minute quarters, and then the next is going to be 7-minute quarters.
Thanks for watching Channel 18 News. Have a great evening.